Hey, welcome everybody. It's 3 p.m., so we're gonna go ahead and get started. For those of you that may not know me, I'm Dr. Eric Money. I'm Associate Director in CGA, and I direct our master's and certificate programs. But it's my pleasure today to introduce Dr. Levy. She is the inaugural Executive Director of the new Data Science Academy here at NC State. And Dr. Levy has a really established career both in mathematics. She's also a professor of mathematics in the Department of Math here at NC State. She's internationally known for developing methods and mechanisms for mathematical modeling and data science education. She aims to make learning experiences welcoming, inclusive, and empowering. Her work spans everything from doing blog work. She has a blog called Grandma Got STEM. That was featured in the press for NPR. She has contributed to the Society for Industrial and Applied Mathematics, again, written blogs for American Scientists, and received the National Alder Award for teaching. So today she's going to be talking to us about the Data Science Academy and how we here at the center, but also just in general, how folks can get involved and all the great things that they are doing and plan to do in the future.
Thanks so much, Eric.
I'll turn it to you.
And thanks you all for coming. I'm so happy to see you and happy to learn that some of you are already taking some of our classes. So raise your hand if you've already heard of the Data Science Academy, and it's fine if you haven't. Oh, wow, a lot. Okay. And not just because you came to this talk and it had it in the title, like you know more than that, I hope. Okay. Yeah, so today I'm going to share a lot of things with you relatively quickly, but in the culture in mathematics is to interrupt, because if you don't understand something, it might be bugging you and then you don't even listen to the next thing. So at any time, just raise your hands, or if there's some questions, hi Zoom people. Oh, they can't see me, so I just wave to the not them. But hi y'all, I know you're out there. Happy you're here and happy to answer questions. And I hope this is really just the beginning of a conversation for the future. So just to start, as you know, right? Maybe you're the original data scientist. I really believe this. My husband actually has an undergraduate degree in BIS, did some city and regional planning, has a library and information science degree. So we both are in this school of, yeah, we know how important you are. And we know you did the hard things, right? You took all the data everyone else has, and then you said, let's put it in space, right? Let's think about where we are, not just what we are. So thank you. And I will try to continue to promote this idea, which will also show up in a I think it shows up, the quote, in a video that we did with our inaugural artist in residence who did some dance and interviews with people. Okay, so what's an academy? And there are three now. There's the Data Science Academy, the Genetics and Genomics Academy, and now we have the Global One Health Academy. There is a plan for there to be more, but they won't roll out probably as quickly as these first three rolled out in the future. The idea is really that there are some subjects that really should be cross-cutting across all the colleges. So imagine 5 years from now, every undergraduate student and perhaps every graduate student at NC State has the opportunity to receive some sort of credentialing in data science, whether that be a micro-credential, right? A badge, a certificate, a minor, a concentration, a major, or at least some coursework so that they're getting exposure to this topic. What if everybody had some knowledge of what genetics and genomics is, right? And what if everybody had a sense of how our health is really a global concern in all of the different factors? At NC State, we're really hoping that there's a vision for that. And it's not because the academies are going to do all of these things. It's because we're going to work together and galvanize what's happening across the university so that we collectively do these things. So when I say data science, I really mean the whole life cycle. A lot of people, you already know this, but a lot of people just focus on the analysis part. And it's so important, as you know, who you collect data from impacts what you can conclude from your data, who gets left out of the data, who can even access the data. And then at the end, I see we've got a little bit of, I'm sorry that I've got words where you've got screen sharing going on here, but I want to point out that we talk a lot about data visualization, but that is not the way everyone accesses information. So we also think about sonification and physicalization, and we are offering courses in those things. We have a course coming up, Data in Motion, that I'm really excited about. This is not for dancers only. This is for people willing to move. So if you like to move and you like data, you should take that class. It'd be great. All right, so our goal is to operationalize the idea that data science is for everyone. A lot of people say that data science is for everyone, right? But in North Carolina, it's not just to seem, it's actually to be. That's our motto, right? So what could it mean for everyone to be involved in data science? So could we just get 3 ideas? And so if you're online, if you could put something in the chat, or if you're here, like, what does that mean? So I already gave you one hint. One way data science could be for everyone is that we make sure that when we communicate data science, that it really is actually accessible to people who are seeking that information. What's another way? Also sit down until you're ready.
I think it extends a little beyond this, but I hope it includes that people's data is their own, ownership, equity to that data.
Thank you. Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about work with communities, right? And then there's a lot of history of studying a community, coming into a community, collecting data from that community, taking it away from that community, drawing conclusions about that community, and never even really feeding necessarily any of that information back to the community. And so I think in many regards, so that's just one example of a way in which we could really think about how we engage communities in our research and just the whole data ownership principle, or even open data principles in general. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
We have a chat comment. Data science can be present in our work no matter the discipline.
Yeah, this idea that it's interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary. So I actually report to this new senior vice provost for interdisciplinary programs. But now we have this whole question, is it really interdisciplinary all the time? Is it sometimes multidisciplinary, right? And what's the difference, and does it matter? How do we think about those things? And is that distinction important? Should we always be identifying what it is? If we say interdisciplinary, do we also mean multidisciplinary? I hope so, personally. One more idea.
The chat comment.
Okay.
Following on that, unintimidating the term for those who don't consider themselves data scientists.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Totally. And I think you'll see that. That's a nice preamble for some of the things I'll talk about today, about how we've designed our courses to hopefully do that for members within our community, but then also reaching out beyond our community. So I'll talk about a few things that are sort of aligned with the different pillars of our mission: research, teaching, outreach, service. So let's start with research. When we think about research in the Data Science Academy, we're really enabling research. We're doing a little bit of research ourselves in the education space, but we're really thinking about how can we help galvanize interdisciplinary research across a college. So we've given out, last year, we gave out $250,000 in seed grants to, I think, 8 interdisciplinary groups that touched all but one of the colleges, and only all but one because one didn't apply. They thought about it, but they didn't get it in yet. So maybe next time we'll catch them. Research ideation, we have the opportunity, if you want to pull together an interdisciplinary group, we have a grants coordinator who can meet with you, get your group together, look at a call with you, help you discuss your idea and think about whether your idea is going to be aligned well with that call, and then maybe even lay out a path for you to get that work done. So she's a really great project manager as well as grants coordinator. That's Katie Conyers. Collaborator discovery, we're going to be doing some meetings in the spring where we get people together just because we've been apart for a long time. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about analytics. And this is really available to all of you, everyone in our community. So Emily Griffith is on the left. She's a professor in statistics, and some students are on the right. You may know some of them. These are graduate research assistants. You can apply for these positions for the future, where they serve as consultants in data science. The library also has hourly employees that serve as consultants in data science. So you can go to the libraries. Up on the right-hand side, there's an Ask Us button there, and you hit it, you get, you get 3 kinds of help. Not happy. What should I actually be pointing at? There's 3 kinds of help, and one of those kinds of help is data science help. And if you hit data science help, you can either email, chat, or make an appointment. If your appointment is really something kind of, and this is an integrated service, so if it's a quick answer, you'll get an hourly person. If it's over a semester, a longer answer, you'll get one of the Data Science Academy consultants. So you all would be great candidates, I think, for some of these positions. positions in the future if you're interested. Okay, so that's all I got on research. I'm going to pause. Any questions about any of that? Research enablement?
So if I might have something now. That would be the starting.
You have a
I have a question of long-term problem that it's a data science problem.
so the consultants, yeah,
Yes.
you can just talk to them about it. Yeah, and they're happy. And they come from all different disciplines. So Emily will try to help funnel that question to the right person. If they don't have the right person, we'll try to get you to the right person. So it may be that we have an answer, but yeah, we're totally happy at any stage of a project to just give some input. Yeah, that's great.
Everybody knows one of those students is Shannon with me in the Geospatial Analytics program.
That's
advised
true.
by Dr.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, these students are great and they're a really nice cohort for each other as well. So it's a nice, I think it's a nice experience for them. Okay, teaching and learning. So where am I supposed to be? Okay, now I'm not working at all. I'll start talking and he will make it click. Okay, so we are teaching and learning through what we call the ADAPT model. The ADAPT model is all campus, data science, accessible. Remember I talked about accessibility? Project-based teaching and learning. Okay, and what we did was when we decided we were going to, so I arrived, there were 6 classes we were supposed to teach. I immediately killed one of them. Like, we can't do 6, 5. We had 5 classes. And I wanted to make sure that whatever class you take from the Data Science Academy, there was some commonality between these classes. What is it going to mean to take a class from the Data Science Academy as opposed to a class anywhere on campus? So this model has 3 elements. One of them is that all of our classes are project-based. They have no quizzes, no tests. You may give assignments, you may give projects, but you may not give quizzes and tests if you teach for us. Second is we have 10 common learning elements across all the classes. I don't think all 10 elements are happening in all of the classes, but this is what we're aiming for. We want every class to have students wrestle with an ethical issue. We have a class that's data science and ethics, but we want every class, right, to be thinking about some sort of ethical issue. We want people to see a diverse group of people doing data science. We want people to see open problems in that field. We want to see some impact from that field, right? What has happened in that field? We want people to view data as information, not truth, with aspects of inclusion and exclusion, etc. So we've got 10 of these elements. You can look them up. I'll show them in a minute in the ADAPT model. Okay, so there's project-based teaching and learning. There's these 10 elements, and then there's the idea of choice. So a lot of times in a class, probably a lot of your academic career, you've been told, okay, this is what you're learning. This is what I'm going to do with you on a test or a project. Now you have to do it this particular way using these particular tools. But then you get into the workplace and people are like, please solve the problem. Go. Right? Oh, and work with these people that you may or may not want to work with. Right? Go. Do it. Right? Okay. So the issue is that we just don't often, and this may not be true in your department or your field, but in a lot of learning experiences, we just don't get enough chance to choose the tool to solve the problem. And then the other thing with data science you can choose is the context, right? So if you had a tool or a particular type of data, that data still could come from a particular type of context. So in every class when students are doing projects, we at least want them to be choosing one or the other of those things, if not both. So I may say the tool of the week is a hammer. You have to use a hammer, but you can choose what you're going to make with that hammer, right? Or I could say you're going to build a birdhouse, but you can build that birdhouse with whatever tools you want, right? Or whatever materials you want. And so at least you're getting some of that flavor of choice. And in some cases, when you have real world problems, there are times I've had students working for industry where they solved the problem in the first week because they did a literature search and they were like, look, there's a solution right there. That's what you're trying to do. Done. Do that. Company's like, great, thanks. All right, next problem, right? So it's not, again, like it seems to me a lot of times in education, if the solution were out there, the point is sort of to recreate the solution, not to come up with a new solution, right? We don't need people in the world solving all the solved problems. We need people in the world solving the unsolved problems. And so how can we really set people to, even within their educational experiences, at a beginning level, solving some problems that really aren't solved and they have that sense of purpose. Okay, what else do I want to tell you about teaching and learning? I think that's it. I was going to show you the list of all the classes. So people taking classes in here, what are you taking? You're taking R Python,
In the past, the
web scraping and data wrangling. I think we had one other. The epidemiology class, super exciting class that is taught. Actually, there's a nice story I'll tell you about that class. So when I was an undergrad, I got to do something real. And as a capstone in operations research, I got to go to NASA. And we worked on energy scheduling for the space station. And even though I didn't believe in myself, it is that experience that led me 10 years later after undergrad to go back to grad school in math. Right? So this is, and so I was giving a TEDx youth talk, and I was talking about this, and my mentor, I didn't even remember her name, so I had to look up my professor who had to tell me the mentor's name, Dr. Sylvia Hood Washington. And so I used this picture of her in my talk, but then TED is very strict on what images you use. You have to sign your life away that you have the permission to use the images. And I was like, I don't have permission to use the image. I haven't talked to her for like 5,000 years. But I found her on LinkedIn, and there was a company name. I looked up the company name, and there was a phone number, and I called it, and she answered the phone. I was like, 1989 is calling. Hello, Dr. Washington, this is your student from NASA, like from 1,000 years ago. And she's like, oh, and it turned into this course that you're taking. So now I said, what can I do for you? And she said, well, I would love to do something for you, you know, to be affiliated with your university. I was like, what do you love? I love epidemiology. Awesome. Okay. And she's one of the, you know, world-renowned experts in health disparities. And now she's teaching epidemiology for us. So it's an honor to have her here. And that course has already been accepted in public health here as a substitute for one of their requirements. It's sort of amazing, just from the reviews from their teachers, from the students. Awesome. Okay. So another principle is that each of you in this room may identify somewhere on this ladder of data science, depending on the data science topic I call out. Right? You may have been like, I've heard of that, or I've tried it, but I don't feel very good at it, or I'm learning that, or I practice that, or I actually am innovating. But it doesn't matter where you are in that ladder. Everybody has to continuously upskill. This is an emerging field, an evolving field. The tools are changing. Our thinking about the tools is changing. Our trust of the tools is becoming, what should I say? Like, we're becoming better at thinking about whether or not we can trust the tools that we're using, right? And so all of these things are changing. And the way we think about the folks on the left is they could be learners, but they also could be teachers. And so we already have undergrads who took our class in the first semester that we were teaching, serving as course collaboration leaders and helping other students in future classes. So we're super excited about working with farmers, for example. We've been doing some data jams with farmers. We've had some convenings where an NC State researcher said, I can never get data on this. It just doesn't exist. And the farmer was like, I'll send you a spreadsheet. And then from that came a publication all within one semester. And it's pretty amazing what we can do if we can just help make the connections. And I think that's what the Academy is about. So here's the adapt elements that I was talking to you about, those 3 elements. 10 common learning elements, project-based learning, identity-conscious choices are the tools or the context. Here's the learning elements. Think about how data are created. About ethics. This is where I think we embed our values, right? This is topic independent. It doesn't matter if you're taking epidemiology or your first class in R and Python. These are the things that it means to do data science, to be a data science and think deeply about data science. All right, so there's 3 levels of classes. Currently, they're all called 495. In the future, starting next semester, thank you, curriculum committee. They will be called 295 if they're at level 1, 495 if they're at level 2, and by the graces of the grad school, hopefully soon, we will have 595s at level 3. Okay, we hope to be giving our very first grad level class this spring. There's about 20 sections, and then you see postdoctoral opportunities. So we actually were funded by NSF to bring in 4 postdocs who study education and are interested in data science education to study this model and tell us, are we doing a good job? Are we really accessible, right? Who are we serving? Who are we missing, right? What is the pathway? How does this engaging our courses impact the pathway of the students in our classes? You know what the written curriculum looks like. What's the enacted curriculum look like? What's actually happening, right? As we're teaching this ADAPT model. And here's some of our classes, Just so you can see some names like data science for sustainability or topic modeling or data science for cybersecurity. And I would love for you all to suggest other classes that could be taught. We don't have a class that's specifically talking about geospatial analytics, for example, right now. Could a 1-credit class really attract a new student into, your arena through that kind of class, possibly? Okay. And then the last topic is outreach and engagement. So on the left, you can see Jason Ward and me presenting at the North Carolina Soybean Producers Association. This was super fun, and 3 farmers came up afterwards and wanted to engage in projects with Jason around water, around planting a specialty crop. And I think the 3rd person was just sort of interested in general in, I don't think I'm a technical person, but who in my arena could start helping me understand some of the information that my tractor is like for other parts of my world. And then on the right, this is the story I told you about from NC Biotech, where we had a farmer and an NC State researcher in the room together. And they've both given me permission to write up this story about how they exchange data. And it was really just one of these moments where, the NC State researcher was saying, hog farmers don't want us to talk about their data because it might make them look bad. And the hog farmer was like, but wait a minute, I want you to talk about my data. We've been doing all these things to do better, and we have the data to show it. Like, here's what we've been doing. It's getting better. And I want to, I have a nonprofit that's built to tell the stories of hog farms in North Carolina and all the things we're doing to do better. And so he gave her data, her master's student was able to publish, and just a lovely story about getting people together and helping people understand each other's perspectives. On the left, you see undergrads engaged in a data challenge that's put on by the American Statistical Association. In the past, we used to cart our students off to a different campus to engage in this, and now we're doing it at home, which is great. And the best thing about this is I think we had 4 teams, and they all helped each other. So this is supposed to be a competition, but we called it a challenge. And they were really great. They were going to each other's tables, like, can you help me figure out how you did this, or I need to do this. And so that's the spirit we really want to be creating as we do data jams and data challenges. And then on the right, that was undergrads. This was for faculty and grad students, the Ag Data Science Jam that Danny Jones put on. She's our liaison for agricultural analytics from Plant Sciences Building Initiative and BSE. And then for high schoolers, we're also one of the organizations that puts on math modeling competitions gave us a gift, and we're using that money to ask the question, what would it take for high school students in a high school that's never done any math modeling or any data science to engage in one of these challenges? And how could we offer some mini challenges that could kind of get them on the way? It's sort of like the First Robotics. First Robotics, that gets a lot of kids into robotics through these very cooperative challenges where everyone has a role to play, everyone feels really included, and it's fun. So we're trying to think about, could we follow that First Robotics model and do some things like that in data science in North Carolina. And last, a lot of my career has been helping mathematicians help their students think about careers in industry. Because in the past, there was this big divide, I think, between people who basically stopped at the master's level and went to industry or government, and people who completed their PhDs who were expected to go to academia. That has all mixed up at this point, right? Like the national labs are looking for people with PhDs. A lot of companies are looking for people with PhDs or just with bachelors, right? You can enter these careers. There's people going back to school like I did at all different times. The pathways are so interesting. Also, raise your hand if you've ever been in a job interview and been asked an illegal question. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This is interesting because actually when I asked this question in a room of about 100 people and no men raised their hands. We actually had 2 people who, I'm going to gender you now, and I may misgender you, but who would appear perhaps to an interviewer to be male, right? But it happened to you all too, which is super interesting to me. And somebody who, I don't want to misgender anybody, but who might be perceived, right, by someone, anyway. Don't want to gender people. It's not good practice. But what I'm saying is you have to have a protected characteristic ordinarily to be asked an illegal question. So, or maybe not. I mean, I'm super curious now what questions you got asked. You want to share?
Well, for me, I think it's being aware of what.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Also,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So questions about religion, which can be asked at a private religious institution, but cannot be asked in a public institution. So it also kind of depends on the context you're in, what you can be asked. There are people who have to sign what their religion is, right? For certain institutions, but other places you can't ask. All sorts of things about family, like, right? Are you planning to have kids? Are you, if someone's this pregnant, you can't talk about it when they're in an interview. It's not okay. So I made a card game where it gives you legal questions and illegal questions. Turns out if you're asked an illegal question, you still have to say something. Usually not good practice to just be mute when someone asks you a question. So this card game helps people think about, like, what do you do when you get asked a legal or an illegal question? So we just this week had our in-campus first career expo. We had about 26 employers and about 200 students. We'll have a virtual one in the spring. If you're on the market and want to come, you're very welcome. It's for all campus. At our career expo, we are teaching 2 classes in the spring on internships for social impact. If you want to take this class, it'll teach you how to be a good intern, how to use a data maturity tool, and will help people try to get internships in government, community organizations, and nonprofits. So that's Tracy Applin from SPIA, which is School of Public and International Administration. Is that right? And she runs that program. The other thing I do a lot is for the partnerships office, talk to partners. And what do our industry and government partners want to do? They want to hire you, right? They want sometimes us to teach them things, and they want to partner with us on research. So that's usually, I'm trying to do that connecting with people. So if you're interested in working with a corporation, let me know, because I'm always sort of sharing who's out there and who wants to do what. So we're really fortunate to be funded with 4 different funding pathways. So data.org, like I said, is funding internships. COMAP is the one who gave a gift that we're using for K-12. Sloan funded the consulting wing. We're going to run a conference on how consulting practices. Remember, I was talking about those graduate student consultants, and then the NSF, those 4 postdocs coming in. So now we got to do the work. One of the things about getting grants is now you got to do the work. So like I said before, you all are the original data scientists, perhaps. How can we connect some more? So here's some things you might want to do. You could schedule a proposal ideation session. So that's why I was asking you, did you mean the consultants or did you mean proposal ideation? Because I think either of those, if you're writing a proposal, then proposal ideation would be the way to start. But if you already are running a project, then it would be more the consultant. That would be the direction you would go. You can apply for a seed grant. We'll be running that program again this year. Come to the Career Expo. We'll have some convenings. We'd love for you to come, meet people, take or teach a class. So we do have grad students who are beyond the master's level teaching courses, as well as faculty. We are working on an undergrad certificate. I was talking to some of you about that right beforehand. I won't go into those details, but it hopefully will look like 6 credits in the Data Science Academy and 6 credits from a unit. If you're writing a proposal, several proposals have already gone in this year where they said, if we get this proposal, we want to develop a, say, data and justice course, and we will do that and offer it 1 credit project-based course through the Data Science Academy. So you can write those in a sort of speculative way, or you can even write in the funds to pay the person to teach it when the grant comes in. So that's possible, and we'll write letters of collaboration for that. Come to our data jams. And I don't know what that last thing says. Suggest other things. Speakers and other things. All right, so that's a lot of, I think that's it. So I'm just excited to talk. Thanks. There.
Okay, so we have plenty of time for questions. We'll start with those in the room. Anyone that's online, while we're taking questions here in the room, feel free to add questions in the chat, or you can use the raise your hand feature, and I think John will see that, and you can unmute yourself and actually, ask the question out loud. But we'll start here in the room. So are there any questions? I'll pass the mic to you so people online can, the recording will pick it up. But
think I just have a glowing compliment. It was just so engaging and wonderful to hear about everything the Academy, Data Science Academy is doing. It's really cool. You probably hear this too. Some faculty are saying, might say, I don't understand why we have these new academies and things. Which you made such a clear and compelling case about all the really important things you're doing that wouldn't happen otherwise.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was nice.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's been, so I really need to give a lot of credit to Allison Wilson and Emily Griffith, who before I arrived and before I was hired and before I even applied, really, envisioned a lot of this, and took 5 years, I think, to try to understand what would be valuable in our community in the way of doing something cross-cutting. And that idea eventually turned into academy and turned into academies. But they really deserve a lot of credit for that vision. And the things that they sort of set me in the direction for have, turned out to be things that seem to be resonating with our community and be possible, right, within our structures. I always want to be doing things that dovetail and champion and lift up what we're already doing and connect things together. If I ever misstep, I really rely on you all to let me know as soon as possible, because that will also happen, right? I'll not know something, I'll run into, it's very easy to run into things you don't even know about or do things by accident. And so I will be the first person to say, if you hear wind of that, please tell me, because I can't know things unless people tell me them. So I really appreciate the compliment. And if you have the opposite, it's okay too. Like, I gotta know, like, are we doing things well, and what do we need to be doing differently? And are we truly serving the institution and making value of the resources that we have? Oh, let me give you an example. So the career fair makes a little bit of money. What I'm thinking is that we could use that money. I've applied to the foundation to be able to do this. I'm thinking we could use that to return it to departments for travel for students that want to go to conferences in data science so that you can present your work, because I think that's an important career kind of thing to do. We could also use it to create a conference here where you could present your work, right, as a way. So is that a good idea? A bad idea? Is that needed? Like, are you like, no, we're rolling in travel money, we don't need that? Or no, that's I just don't know. I'm new here, right? I don't know what's needed. And so I got 2 requests this fall for travel money from various departments. And I thought, oh, maybe that's a thing that would be really helpful. If we had some money, we could, use it that way, as long as it's aligned with career. Do other things come to mind like that you're like, I just wish we could move? Got one here, one here.
Can you give us an idea of how it has grown over the past 2 years?
Yeah,
either in terms of
1
number
year.
of courses?
Yeah, 1 year. So the courses started with 5 and then 9 sections and now 20. 20 now in the 3rd semester. We will not have more than 20. We'll probably have fewer than 20. I think we'll probably end up at about 18 next semester. We planned 20, but things happen.
You have both entry level and
We do right now, and they're all called 495, but as of next semester, if you look it up right now, DSC, there will be 295s and 495s, and that 295 should be 0 prerequisites. And then 495s, we're really trying not to say you need a particular class to take it. What we're trying to do is say, these are the skills you need, right? So we're not going to say you have to, I'm just going to use my own field. We're not going to say you need linear algebra. We're going to say you need to know what the norm of a vector is. You need to know what the norm of a matrix is. You need to be able to do A, B, C. And then, then those are the primary concepts that are going to be of value in this course.
So you were asking for it.
Mm.
So one idea is in the category of money,
Mhm.
A little bit of money to help with publications that require the
Oh.
publisher the author to pay.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't have to be the whole thing, but
Yeah.
sometimes they put these publication fees in grant proposals, but sometimes we're working without grants.
That's right.
A little help in that department.
That's amazing idea that nobody has suggested. Will you email it to me? RLEVY.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great idea. And I think I could do that almost right away. So, yeah. So here's another question about that and travel. if I were to give money for those kinds of things, there's two ways that I can envision to do that. One is to say, I've got this pot of money for the year, X number of $1,000 for travel, or X number of $1,000 for these. You need to apply, and I decide if you meet some criteria to get the thing or not. And then I send the money to your department, who then, I guess, gives it to you or something like that, right? Like, or I don't know how to manage this, but I would send the same amount of money to every college, like sort of distribute and say, hey, college, please go figure out, but then the thing I worry about that is that different colleges are so many different sizes, and I don't have as a good a way to see the demographics of who are receiving the things and sort of try to keep things distributed amongst all the different kinds of boxes you might want to put a person
I like your first.
in. Okay. So, and somebody said they were worried that maybe people would perceive that I wouldn't do a good job or wouldn't be able somehow to judge. But I would confer, I think, like if I didn't know how to, I don't know how to, I will try to make the criteria clear, right? And it wouldn't just be that I like the topic. It would be more, about making sure that I'm distributing these funds as broadly as possible amongst these different companies. Okay. All right. I really started thinking about this about 2 weeks ago. So you are my first bigger test audience to think about these things.
Question we've been trying to grapple with. I think we're going to be asking for formal feedback from students regarding our travel report. Center for Geospatial Analytics is to do fewer large awards that pay for most or all of the travel experience, or more smaller. And there's really a big trade-off. Nice to spread money, but then it's like a partial scholarship.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get still end up.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me know what you
So,
find out. Yeah. There's also things like childcare, like what you consider part of a travel award. If you have an infant, are you gonna, somehow figure out how that person's gonna come with you, or someone's gonna watch them while you're in your meetings? And those are definitely, I did work for a professional organization for a while. This was a huge thing to think about, like how to run childcare, because you don't want to, you can't run when you run a meeting, there's so much liability to try to run childcare within that meeting, right? In a town you don't come from, with people you don't know. Like it's, so it's better just to somehow give people money to do the thing they need to do, which could be send your kid to camp for a week in that town, or, have a babysitter come with you.
Sorry, very different question. So I was at the wearables conference that was co-hosted by DSA and Wake Forest. And it was, I don't know the others in the room were there, but it was very much kind of medical based wearables.
It was medical wearables, absolutely.
Like the assistant or here. But I think there was a missed opportunity for things like GPS wearables, exposure wearables. So I'm curious where that is going, because I think that was March, April.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if there's other opportunities that GSA is
Yeah.
within campus or across.
It went to spam, and we didn't even figure it out for a really long time. So there was a call for seed grant proposals where we put in 20K and Wake Forest put in 20K, and even our organizers didn't get it. And somehow we didn't get that feedback, because you can't say you didn't get something you didn't know you didn't get. So where it's at is Bina from Assist is meeting soon to restart that conversation. Reach out to her if you would like to work that somehow into that seed grant. The thing is that on their end, it is coming from the medical, like it was, they proposed the whole thing to start with, and they are medical. So I think that will probably stay medical. So maybe I don't mean that. Maybe don't reach out to her, but anyway, with that, they're going to restart the conversation and try to relaunch the seed grant. And if we don't get anything by December, we're going to say, okay, we got to reallocate this money somewhere else. It's just not enough money. It's sort of like the travel grant. If you make a seed grant, and you're trying to get people from two different institutions who don't know each other very well to agree to do something together, that's a pretty big lift. And so then to only give a little bit of money to make that happen, it just may not be enough money, and we may just need to fold. But we absolutely can do a different kind of convening like that. We would just need partners. Like we're just not enough people to do it all, but we can absolutely work on building a partnership and provide some staff support and that kind of thing to do it. Yeah. So, and it could be a convening like that, where you just have people presenting to each other to try to get to know each other, to be able to do more things together. In the spring, we're going to have 2 convenings that are just like that, to get people in data science together from across the campus. So I hope you'll get involved in that as well. And another big question in my mind is, if we as NC State, we're going to try to get, like, let's just say 5 topics that you could call data science going. And if one of them were medical wearables, and one of them were, say, ethical AI, what should the other 3? And one of them maybe has something to do with data and agriculture. So those are the 3 big ideas that have sort of, people have come to us and said, please, please do something in this space. What should the other spaces be, and what should our role be in using our convening power to make them happen? I don't want to do anything that doesn't help, right? And so we have some capacity to convene, but we need direction. I don't want to be the one making those choices about what the direction should be. So what I'm hearing from you is there may be an opportunity to do some convening around geospatial, right? Wearables or sensors or data.
Yeah, but like if it's medical, it was, I mean, what we were talking about were things like skin conductance, heart rate, and all of that is going to be impacted by the environment. And
Yeah.
That's what a lot of us measure.
Right,
So, like,
right.
Let the course worry about the medical.
Yeah. Well, I do think then you could get back to Vina, and it could be more explicit that these are some of the kinds of things we're looking for in the call, and that would be very appropriate. Or even just to make sure you have a person with spatial data awareness and ability on the team, right? I think would be a real addition, I think, to how we were thinking about it. So I appreciate you brought it up. I think it came up a little bit, right, that day, but yeah, what?
Everything's.
Everything's spatial. What's not spatial? Yeah, it's hard to think that way.
I was going to say earlier also that I, of course, like arguably traditional data science.
I think that came from y'all. One of you is responsible for that.
Sometimes that I thought we were.
Yeah.
But we didn't ever.
Well, nobody did. It wasn't very big. Yours was, though. That's the thing, right? You knew it was big. Yeah. I mean, maybe the astronomers thought theirs was. Yeah.
This is to come and very emphatic comment. Yes, a class related to geospatial data was attractive.
All right. You're all nominated. So how do you teach a data science academy class? You come talk to me and David Stokes, our teaching coordinator, with an idea. You need a title, you need a blurb, you need 5 learning objectives, and you need to have some idea of what the projects are going to look like. If you come to me with 10 learning objectives, I'm going to say that is probably not a 1-credit class, and it's not fair to the students. We're really trying to scope them appropriately. And, I'll just say, what, and then I'll want your learning objectives to be written in that good old, by the end of this course, students will be able to blank kind of language. Not that they will understand things, or that they will, all those other words that are not as specific. And that's about it. And then, we'll talk, if it's a student, we'll talk with their advisor. If it's a faculty member, we'll talk with the department chair and just make sure that everyone's in the loop on who's doing this. And we could talk money, because there would be money involved.
Can you, so now that you've taught these classes now for how many?
This is our 3rd right now.
I'm curious if I know you mentioned you had postdocs that are going to start evaluating the curriculum and how effective it is. I'm just curious, have you done any kind of data science with class evaluations and
Yes.
things like that?
Yes. So, and we also have some researchers in the College of Education already doing research with their grad students. So they've studied things like, why are the students taking these classes, and what's going on with their pathways, and how is it impacting identity? Are there projects related to their major or not? Like, are they related to aspects of their personal identity? Like, if they have these choices, what's motivating some of these choices that they're making? So it's already happening. I also, from registration and records, look at, like, in our first semester, we hit all 10 colleges, which was amazing to me because we had 0 advertising practically. So, and now, and we had 70 programs of study by the second offering. And I think we have 100 programs of study represented now in the students, about 300 students. But they still are some, like, usual suspects, right, that are the majority of those students. And so what I want to do is, like, try to figure out how to distribute. So I'll just give an example. Like, in the first semester, textiles said our students have this many electives, they can have up to 3 of them be data science academy electives. And all of a sudden we had textile students in our classes because they just, A, they knew about them, B, they knew what they would be useful for. And so one thing we want to do is sort of align some of our classes in with the regular programs of study. Again, David Stokes, our teaching coordinator, just came on, but that'll be part of his job, is to have those conversations and do those alignments with the departments that I think will go hand in hand with talking about the certificate. So I'm really, we have about 44 to 46% people who identify as female in our classes. We have people who probably identify, on different places in the gender spectrum in our classes. I ask about pronouns as well, because I'm sort of interested in that as well, but the reporting by students of pronouns is pretty small. But we definitely know we have people that use all the different pronouns that they have the choice to report. It's great. That's what I know. And then we look at race, and we look at people from there are counties in North Carolina, you know this, counties in North Carolina have tiers that have to do with, because we're interested in data.org wants us to reach students in rural areas, from rural areas. And Pell Grant eligibility. So we're looking at all those kinds of things. And I'm not just interested in, do you take one class, but I want to know, do you take a second? Like, to me, anybody can be, enticed to take one class, but if you take 2 classes, that means that the first class went well enough for you. So I'm super excited, to think, do you come back from one? Or even to your friends? Do you recommend it to your friends?
We have time for one more question. Anything online? Okay, well,
Thank you so
with that,
much.
let's thank Dr. Levy one more time.
All right.